for the Fulton Division. War was war against the Japanese. And I think with the Navajo first. Has very second message in the Navajo words. And it took us about to learn all that and also the action in the whole. And we did very good with that. My name is Navajo, to know the Navajo language in secret. Just only that we learn it the fastest. And so really difficult to learn. So really easy to work with. Wonderful with it. And went to school. I went to school, but just not third grade, something like that. And didn't do much in this learning. But I did pretty well with the coat and Navajo. So I think a lot of people don't know that Navajo word did the same to the Japanese. And it was really good to learn that way. Because in Navajo, that they don't know figure their own language, they don't know. So I'm using that. We just fighting with the Japanese. And then nobody ever learned. Even the Navajo don't understand here. So I'm very proud that the Navajo Kotaku, they're greatly got together and learn these civic code. In Navajo, don't know a lot of language in the civic.
Hi. My name is Lupita Holiday. I'm Sam Holiday's daughter. My dad, he was a hero to me way before I even found out before he was a Navajo code talker. He's a good father, always provided for us. And then one day we were traveling and some people came up to him and shook his hand and they were like, "Oh, this is your father, you should be proud." And I was like, yeah, he's my dad. But at the time I didn't realize what they did because my dad never spoke to us about it because he had already made a promise that he wasn't going to break the code or share the secret with anybody. He didn't even share it with us. So we knew he was in the service, but we didn't know what he did exactly. So my dad, he was raised by his mom, and he lived with his sister. And he was born in Mimet Valley, near a butte called Eagle Rock. And so he had a hard life growing up. They had no electricity, no water, running water, so they had to chop wood for daily heat to cook with. They had to go run to the stream to get water for bathing, cooking, cleaning. So, and herd sheep, and also just in the mornings, then they were required to run towards the sun while the sun was rising. And my grandma used to tell us that that morning light is the holy people. And if you run towards them and do prayer, you know, you'll have good things and come to your life. So that was their daily thing. And so when he was growing up, he really never seen a white person at all. And the couple had opened a trading post not too far from where my dad lives. And that was the first time he ever seen a white person. And so it was, everybody was talking, and it was the missionaries had gone through too, and they changed my dad's name. My last name would have been Chantanihi, which actually means diarrhea or stomach ache. So I guess my grandfather's name was the man with a stomach problem or something. So, but I'm so thankful they changed my name. And so he was given the name Sam Holiday. He doesn't know his exact birthday. They didn't go by dates, or they just went by the season and the moon. And so his older brother gave him June, and they just stuck the second in. And they remembered the year because a trading post had been built that year. And it was completed in 1924, and that's how they got his date of birth. And so they were told that the white people are coming around collecting kids. So every time my dad and my aunt would hear that, they would run to the hills and camp out for a few days, because they didn't know their intentions was to, like, you know, educate them. All they knew, they were taking them away from their parents or their home. So one day my dad was herding sheep, and he would herd the sheep to a watering hole. And sometimes he would go swimming in there. And one day he jumped in, and I think the water was too shallow or something, but busted his knee up. And he said he was in such pain, but he managed to make it home. And by the time he got home, he passed out, and the next thing he knew he woke up in Tuba City at a hospital there. And he was so, you know, frightened and everything. Realized they were taking care of him. He was like, oh, this is cool, you know, everybody's taking care of me. And that's when they told him he was going to a boarding school. And so he went to boarding school, and he didn't really have such a hard time because he was like disciplined at home. You know, everything was strict, and there was chores always, and same thing as boarding school. His biggest struggle was speaking English, and he couldn't speak Navajo, otherwise he would get in trouble. And he just wanted to learn so bad that after a while, he started stealing his own dessert so he could take it out of the cafeteria. And he would give it to this guy that in exchange would teach him English. So he was doing that on the side. And so that's how he learned English and, you know, writing English from the guy that he gave his desserts to. And so he only went to school till he was a 5th grader. But he was 9 years old when he first went to boarding school. And he was like the biggest 1st grader ever. And he said they used to pick on him and call him names and make fun of him. But, you know, he knew all he needed to do was learn English. But whenever they got caught speaking Navajo, they would get in trouble and be punished for it. And so he, after 5th grade, he returned home, helped his mom for a while, and he went to, after that, he went to a technical school and learned how to use a bulldozer. And there he met other Navajo students, and that's where he learned about the war. And these guys told him, hey, the Japanese are fighting, and they want to take over this land. And so for us, it's kind of, or more for him, it was more a bigger thing, because all he knew before was that they always had to, you know, have little battles with other Native Americans over land. And I think the biggest part was his grandmother was part of the long walk. So, you know, we were placed on that reservation. We didn't like really, we all lived different places, but when we were, after the long walk, we were just put onto the reservation, so it wasn't by choice, but this is what belonged to us. And that's, with Navajos, like, that's Mother Earth, and we have a lot of respect for her. So with this in mind, that's why a lot of guys said, yeah, let's go join, you know. So they went to sign up. He signed up when he was 17, but didn't actually go to boot camp till he was 18. And he went to Camp Pendleton, and he said boot camp was, he didn't think boot camp was hard at all. You know, run? Oh, we did that every day. And he would say he would go into the barracks and getting ready to sleep, and he said he would hear somebody crying because they worked him so hard, and he's like, this isn't even hard. This is like staying in a motel with, I don't even have to cook my own food. They give me my food. You know, all I have to do is stand in line. It was, you know, he didn't think it was bad at all. And so that's where they started teaching them how to, with the code, they would go to a classroom, and before they go into the classroom, they would search them and do their lessons. When they were leaving, they were searched, and they were told not to even speak about what they're learning in that classroom. And it was a guy that was actually raised on the reservation. I think his name was Philip Johnston, and he knew that the Navajo language has so many meanings, or I guess it just depends at that moment how you're saying something, because you could say "Sicha" and mean a dog, or you could say "Sicha" and mean a horse's poop. So it just kind of depends where you're at and what you're talking about. And I guess at the end of a question, you have that question mark sound, I guess. So a lot of the Navajos, it just depends on, at the moment, what you're saying, because it could mean 2 or 3 different things. So he knew it was a difficult language. So he's the one that introduced it to, I think it was a general, and they tried it on 29 Navajos first. There was supposed to be 30, but one couldn't go for some reason, and so the original code talkers, there was 29 of them. They were the one that actually saw how it worked, put in for the letter A, they would say apple, and then in Navajo, you would say bilasana. And then, B, bear, shush. And so we have a book back there that kind of just goes through some of the translation. But so after they experimented with that, they realized it was really working, so they brought in, so the total was 420 code talkers, the original plus the second part of the minute went in. I don't know how to subtract that fast enough. But there was a total of 420 code talkers. And he went to, I think they went to school, and then, let me see, I'm lost now. But his partner, his name was Dan Aki, and he passed away not last October, but the October before last. And it was really sad because I felt like I knew him as an uncle too. And my dad and him had gone through so much together, and they stayed friends all till he passed away. And my dad says he saved his life, and the same as him, they saved each other's lives. And but my dad had gone to Saipan, Tinian, Iwo Jima, Marshall Islands, and I can't think of the last one. And he's traveled all over, and I was so happy to see that people recognize them and appreciate them. But today too, the bad thing about it today is some people still really don't know what a Navajo code talker is. I was asked that last year, and somebody asked me, what's a Navajo code talker? And I was like, oh my gosh. But if it weren't for them, I don't know where we really would have been with, losing to the Japanese. And but my dad, he was really sad about a lot of things that happened there, and what he's seen, what he's gone through. And he's actually almost lost his life a few times when he was there. when they were going to shore, his boat was capsized, and I don't know if anybody has ever seen how big the radio are that they carried on their back. It's pretty big and pretty heavy, and it capsized, and he couldn't get the radio off him. He couldn't get it cut. He said he just lost conscious, and next thing you knew, he was on the shore. He said he don't know how he even made it to shore. Another time is he was close to a bombshell. He lost his hearing, and they told him that it had destroyed part of his brain because it was so close. And they actually told my dad that probably he wouldn't be living for long, but he proved them wrong. He's 93. And another time, he was taking a bath, and all of a sudden, he felt something on his back, and somebody told him, "You get out of there, you dirty Jap." And he was like, he looked back, and to find out it was American soldiers that was trying to tell him he was a Japanese soldier. And he's like, "No, I'm American, I'm a Navajo code talker." And if you look at his back, he has a little scar from the bayonet. but you know, he did have some experiences, and I traveled with him for maybe a good year. I always had family members take him someplace where he was invited, and I myself really didn't know his story until this past year. And I'm really proud to say that he's my father, and I have a new level of respect for all veterans and people that are there serving right now. I really, really thank every one of you. But I don't know if anybody has any questions. Yeah, go ahead.
How many Navajo code talkers are
There's possibly 10 is the most accurate count right now. And last year, 4 passed away. So they're all pretty same age as my dad. Sir?
Did you mean to say Kwajalein was one of the places he was at?
Oh, I think so, yeah. I'm so nervous, I can't think right.
You're doing fine. I think that was one that you would expect.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds right.
How many years did he serve as a code talker?
He was actually from 1943 to 1945.
Was he the original cleaner?
No, the original code talkers the last one passed away about 3 years ago now. His name was Chester Ness, and I think 3 years ago now. Sir?
Did he see the movie about the code talkers, and if so, did he think it would be accurate?
He said, "Oh, that's Hollywood." Yeah. But you want to take pictures and stuff, my dad is here, and we have books. The books are $25, and we have some T-shirts too, and pictures. And I was just gonna say that the guy that wrote it, Robert McPherson, did a real good job. He's familiar with the Navajo culture, And he wrote a book too about my uncle, and I didn't know that until maybe about 2 years ago. But he wrote a book about my uncle who was a medicine man. So in the book, my dad talks about the twins and other things in our culture. So in the beginning, Robert McPherson introduces all those characters and, you know, explains what they are and who they are. So when you're reading it and you're like, oh, okay. But my dad's here. You want to take pictures or say hi? So thank you.